Wait, what is this? And who are we?
And who are you? Where are you?
I'm in a hotel in Portland. Probably fairly close to Jaron, but he's keeping his distance from me this morning because I'm not. We usually podcast like late morning because that's when I'm like in it and I'm like a camera reviewing machine. I don't know how the rest of you guys feel. This is the earliest we've ever recorded, so we're going to see if the dynamic shifts a little bit. But these two people that I haven't seen in these little boxes in quite some time are Chris Niccolls.
Hi, I'm Chris Niccolls. I'm still in my own house for now.
And Jaron Schneider.
I rolled out of bed half an hour ago.
PetaPixel Podcast back, baby. It's been a minute, right?
It has.
Yeah. This is one of those weeks where we could have like really rationalized a break, but we had just come off of a 2-week break and we're going on a break next week as well. And I just didn't think that was fair to the people who enjoyed this podcast.
No, I just need to like throw them a life preserver and say like, look, the podcast is alive and well. It's just that things are absolute madness in the PetaPixel team's lives right now.
Yeah. So here we are. We're going to give you guys a recap of the news over the last 2 weeks, which is a giganto chunko. And then
we should never take a break again.
This is punished. And then we're going to talk. This is our Jordan. You buried the lead. This is our 100th episode of the PetaPixel Podcast. We've been doing this for at least 100 weeks with some gaps in there in between. So that is.
I feel like
crazy.
That's the big news. That's the big news story we should really be talking about.
Not that we're up early. I was looking at the two like on a scale, and I was just like, I think us recording earlier is bigger news.
Oh my gosh.
So this week, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about our best and worst experiences while shooting the YouTube show. I'm sure Chris and Jordan have way more of those than I do. But it was going to initially be just like doing within the last 2 to 3 years what's been the best and worst experiences. But I opened it up to them to talk about some of the ones that are the best and worst from their whole careers doing this.
What?
If they'd like to. If they want to.
I can't remember anything past 2 years.
I'm just going to limit this to the PetaPixel years. First of all, because my long-term memory is shot, but also for brevity and because I'm having a good time.
Well,
there we go.
All right. Well, that leads us to Jordan. If you've got the question that you like to ask, do you have
the question I have for this week is directly related to the conversation we were just having, guys. We have so many news stories and so many speak pipes and so many emails. How do we dig ourselves out of this GD hole? I need suggestions. Go.
I think we switch the show to 11 o'clock at night and not do it first thing in the morning. And we have a few drinks and then
that is
and then we
always
realize we have a great time. We answer all the questions. We realize it's been a 3.5 hour podcast. That's, I think, my suggestion.
I think we PBS it. I think we just are like, look, this podcast goes on forever until the questions stop coming. And
PBS it. Do you mean
PBS
like
we'll fundraise it? Well, we could do
you sit
like
down in chairs and people just call in on phones?
Yeah, we could get some of our friends come in. Like,
and we have to
here's
answer.
Pat Forbes to tell you why you should stop sending in questions. And
if we had a team of 20 volunteers answering the questions, that would be awesome. I think that'd be great. Telethon. Hopefully they get the questions right, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, that'd be great.
I once volunteered at the Children's Miracle Network telethon.
Really? Yeah, is there footage of this?
I don't know. It was back in like the 2000s era where like
it's not streaming probably. But.
It was news, and so they would set it up at the hospital that my parents worked at, and so like I would volunteer because they worked there, and I remember that they would do this thing on the local news where they would go to different telethon locations around and they'd do shots of people picking up the phone in the background.
Nice. Did you just lay massive
look at this well-coiffed young man? Sorry, Chris.
Is that what you do? Is that you just lay guilt trips?
You literally have to wait there for someone to call, and when they call,
but are you like
they already choose to donate? Like you want to try and squeeze more out of them?
Don't you want to make that $500? I mean, kids are dying. Like children are dying, ma'am.
It smells bad.
And you can't throw another $50 in there? Come on. Yeah, is that? I don't know.
Do they not do those anymore? Those telephones?
No. Now it's called Patreon. By the way, if you guys want to save some dying children, please consider a PetaPixel.com membership.
No. You know what? That's a good transition, though. Let's start the show so we can talk about the sponsor.
Yay!
jumped the gun. You started leading us into our sponsor segment. Then again, you did jump it incorrectly, like you've been doing for a while, and promising things that the PetaPixel membership doesn't give you.
Oh.
How about you tell them what it actually gives them?
One of the only things it doesn't give you, to be honest.
It's that and barbecue sauce. Other than those two things, that's basically everything else comes with a PetaPixel membership. And we would really like it if you guys joined the PetaPixel membership program. It really, really helps us. It doesn't just help us do special projects, of which we're in the midst of one right now, which is why all of us are barely awake. It's also helps us continue to do the great work that we do. It is vitally important. And you know what? None of us like ads. None of us like them. On PetaPixel.com. In fact, those of us who work there, we don't have them because we have memberships. And
I still have ads.
Oh,
it's horrible.
Do you want a membership?
Yeah, I really need to.
That'll be $3 a month or $30 a year.
Oh, God. Okay, well, great. Well, that's a bargain. I'm going to do that because I still get ads when I'm going on the website. It's terrible. I hate it.
My guess is you don't log in.
Theoretically, yeah, that's probably what it is. Theoretically, Jaron, if people were to help the channel by supporting us with $3 a month or $30 a year, could we then theoretically use some of those funds to start programs like the barbecue sauce for PetaPixel?
Or bring back the Children's Miracle Network? Is that what you're asking?
Or save dying children, I suppose, to some degree. Like a small amount of budget for that, though. Or like... any of the other crazy ideas I have, could we not use that as income to then sponsor and fund some of these projects that the people are asking for?
Tell you what, if enough of them sign up to where we are in the black enough on the costs of producing the PetaPixel memberships program, sure.
Yes, see? You guys can make it possible. So call in today. We've got people waiting on the line for your money, and we can then make these barbecue sauce dreams come true for children who are in need.
Wow. Okay. Well, what it actually gives you is 25% off the PetaPixel merch store. Well, that's 5% off your purchases at KEH ongoing. Seriously, like this is an ongoing 5% discount at KEH. That's one of the best perks we've ever added. You get $15 off your first order at Moment, which actually has a lot of stuff. Like it's like a B&H essentially. They've got you can go buy a Fujifilm camera there if they're in stock. Yeah, you also remove the ads from the website. Did I miss anything? I feel like there's more perks. Sample galleries.
Sample galleries. Yes, you get access to all the JPEGs and RAWs that we're doing from the reviews and stuff like that. And we're giving away money. That's why we're not making any more. We're giving the money away. It's a killer deal.
Anyway, thank you all for those of you who are PetaPixel members. I know that many of you message and comment and email that you're members, and I really appreciate it when I see that. So thank you so much. We're going to get started because this giant wall of news we've missed in the last 2 weeks.
Yes, we should get to it.
Coverage. And the first thing is something I'm going to force Jordan to review. This was announced yesterday. You know, Chris's favorite camera, was this last year? Earlier this year? It's one of those two.
Snap.
The Camp Snap. They've got a new one. It's a screen-free digital video camera that looks a lot like a Super 8.
Do kids like these Camp Snap cameras, or do they like barbecue sauce better? What do you guys think?
So the exciting thing about this Camp Snap video camera is, much like the Camp Snap, there is no LCD on this thing.
That's so exciting.
Little optical finder, and it's adorable. It looks like, that Super 8 camera from Kodak that we reviewed recently, kind of a mini Bolex sort of idea. And I love the gauges on this thing. It's got a 0 to empty for the battery and a 0 to empty for the SD card, and it includes a 4 gigabyte memory card in the box on this sucker, which tells us how low quality and compressed the video coming out of this thing is inevitably going to be. But it's super cute. It's got a little switch so you can put a bunch of filters on, like black and white and grainy. But the big kicker is, it's got a zoom rocker. This lens has a fixed focal length of, I think it's under 4 millimeters if memory serves. So that means we're looking at an itty bitty sensor, probably like, third of an inch.
3.919 millimeter lens.
Yeah, 3.19. So we're looking itty bitty on this sucker.
F2?
The specs, It's fast, but not good. And we still don't know what kind of like frame rates and resolutions. I hope it's 24, but not a lot of dash cams run at a true 24 frames per second. So I strongly suspect we're going to be getting a dash cam sensor that rolls at 30, that you can slap some filter effects on in different aspect ratios, which is kind of fun. Yeah, it's a fun toy camera that looks really cool.
It'll be $150 too. So
we don't know.
No,
we don't know that it's fun yet. It might not be fun. I don't know. I foresee Jordan having much consternation during this review, but we will play with. Well, he will play with it. The first thing that Jaron brought it up, and the first thing I said is, I don't have to review it. That's a Jordan thing. Thank the gods.
Yeah, I think the next piece of trash that you have to review is only going to come around Christmas when I try and find you something ridiculous.
I need a hiatus.
Trash hiatus.
Anyway, this camera is currently available for pre-order for $149. We will reach out to Camp Snap and see if we can get one for review.
All right. And they'll be like, you guys, no.
Chris actually liked the Camp Snap more than he thought he would. Yeah. Which you thought you weren't going to like it at all. That's why.
It is what it is. Good breakfast that morning.
Yes, it is what it is.
All right. Since we have so much, we're going to keep it moving right along.
Let's keep going. We got to go quick.
So the biggest complaint against the Sony RX1R Mark III was its price. That does not seem to have inhibited those who are interested in it, though, as pre-orders appear quite strong. PetaPixel spoke to several retailers around the world, and all of them say that it is either exactly what they were expecting or stronger than they were expecting.
Yeah. I mean, it has been 9 years, right? I mean, they've built up a certain level of demand. Yeah. It's and we did think it would. We did think it would.
And it does have an enormous cachet. Like just the name RX1 is something that people have really been waiting for. So yeah, it's very expensive, but it's also something. Much like a Leica or an X100 this is also going to be a bit of a fashion piece, a show-off camera. And a lot of people are going to want that, as well as the actual photographers who are going to use it to take good pictures because it's very capable of that.
Look, it is a capable camera, right? It does take nice photos. It does operate well. The autofocus improvements are real. I still think, it's very little improvement. It's such a minor evolution from the first one. And there's a lot of stuff that I think is disappointing, but...
Yeah,
still a fun experience.
I'm likely speaking to people who've all watched the review at least once, but if you haven't seen it yet, you should go check out Chris's review. There's another good one that I actually saw yesterday. Becca Farsace's.
Nobody else makes good reviews.
Becca Farsace's review on this.
Becca does make good reviews.
It was quite good. She brought up a good point about Sony's lack of heritage in this in photography and how it probably hurts them in their ability to charge so much money for a camera. Because they were mainly a video camera company until this point.
Apparently not. Because
apparently not.
People are buying it.
Apparently
not. No.
All right, next one is that this is a weird one. I'll let Jordan talk about it a little bit. But the Panasonic's S1 II is showing some remarkably good dynamic range with that partially stacked sensor.
Yeah,
sorta.
It's very odd because historically, when we've looked at stacked sensors, and then the first of the partially stacked ones, the Z6 III, we did see a substantial dynamic range penalty when you're jumping over to those faster reading sensors, which we're not seeing in mechanical shutter mode with this camera. Now, what's interesting for me is I tested this. I took the S1 II with a conventional BSI, or S1 IIe with a conventional BSI, shot underexposed images against the S1 II, and as expected, S1 II images were noisier. Now, the thing is, we didn't have RAW software at this point, so I processed those in camera, boosted them, brought the shadows up to the max, and showed you the results of those. Now that there is full support for the RAW files from those cameras, which means Jaron can now edit our thumbnails, which he's very happy about. For sure.
Oh my God, for such a long time.
Yeah.
Multiple sources are reporting extremely good dynamic range in mechanical shutter mode on this camera. So there does seem to be a workaround. I consider this an ongoing story. I just got an email from Horseshack, who is kind of legendary on the DP review forums for analyzing image quality. He's doing a ton of work right now, and there's other people out there. Photons2photos.net published their DR findings, which again are shockingly good. Only thing that's better than it in terms of overall noise performance is a Canon R3, which applies a lot of active noise reduction to the RAWs, which the Panasonic does not. Apparently, we don't know what's going on. So, ongoing story. I will be looking into this again in future podcasts when there's more information out. But I'm on the road right now and can't run additional tests. I didn't even bring the S1 II with me. I don't have anything. I'm useless in this hotel room. In these four walls, I can do nothing.
On that note,
very interesting and gives us a lot of hope for faster sensors in the future.
Your webcam's an iPhone. It looks pretty good. I'm gonna say.
Yeah, the skin's doing wax face a little bit.
Yeah,
it's fine. Interesting on the S1 II. We'll keep an eye on it. But on that note, let's go in the opposite direction of dynamic range and talk about Harman Phoenix 2. This is the second version of Phoenix. Now, Chris, you actually shot with Phoenix for the Roll A35AF, and you were like, ooh, I probably should have chosen a less wild
I made a mistake.
film.
Yeah, I made a mistake. I was at the shop looking it up. I hadn't actually heard of the Phoenix film emulsion when I looked. I was like, you know what? Hey, interesting film, 200 speed. Let's try it. Vintage look, okay. And it's not the vintage look that was the problem. It's that it was like kind of an experimental film, and it gave very strange results.
Yeah.
Weird color cast, strange exposure. And this was actually a known thing. Except for me, I didn't know it when I bought it. And so it's an interesting film to play with and have fun with. It's an absolutely terrible film for evaluating any sort of camera whatsoever because it's not consistent. Well, Harman has now released a brand new film stock, which is not going to be this sort of experimental kind of crazy, weird, strange color and unpredictable nature, but it still seems to capture that sort of vintage look, the lower saturation, the muted tones, kind of a magenta cast in a lot of cases, a lot of cyan tones. So it looks interesting. It looks beautiful. I would definitely play with it again, but there we go. All the bad rap that they may have developed from the first emulsion, they're now trying to squash with this new emulsion. And it looks nice. Looks interesting.
I reviewed it, and I did it on 35 millimeter because I do not have medium format yet. And what I found was I had one roll that came out like really underexposed, and I thought there was something wrong with my Bessa. Because it was like that underexposed.
You're talking about version 2.
Version 2, Phoenix 2.
Yeah.
So I guess thank you. Back me up.
Yeah.
We now have Phoenix 2. This is the more advanced version of the film, and it's available in 35 and 120. And I reviewed it on 35, and I got some photos that were taken on 120. And then I went to Blue Moon, and I talked to the guys over there because they've also been shooting on it. So we got a lot of information on it. So here's what I found. I think that on 35 millimeter, the grain structure is very large and somewhat distracting. I think it's too big. It's too crunchy. On medium format, gorgeous. This is an outstanding medium format color film. Going back to what I said about I had one roll that came out really underexposed. I shot that on my Bessa, and it made me think there was something wrong with my Bessa's light meter. There's nothing wrong with my Bessa's light meter because I shot another roll of film on it afterward. It looks fine. And I tested the light meter here, and it's fine. So I think that there was something wrong with that roll of film that just did not get enough light in there. Whatever, something went wrong. But what I will say is if you're interested in a new color film that has this kind of, I think it's very pastel-y. And the medium format on it is really, really clean. It's nice. And also I was looking at some pictures from 35 millimeter at Blue Moon taken by some of the guys over there, and theirs were less crunchy than mine. So I don't know what to tell you. The consistency on this one is so far I don't know. So if you want to go try it, it's not that expensive of a film to try, and if you're curious, I think it's worth it. It's a good film.
Very nice.
Other weird stuff. I guess that's the best way I can transition to this one. You guys know what a Petzval lens is.
Yes.
Lomography made a Petzval lens for a while. They are now making
with it.
A second version of that lens, and it is now part of a series of Petzval lenses. So they're launching with a 30, a 55, and an 80.5, or is that an 85? It's an 80.5, which is weird.
80.5, yes. Very.
It's odd, but these are
Gap
all coming
prime.
up. Yeah, it's a gap prime. Yeah, there's going to be a 135 as well, and a 27. So when this whole series is complete, you'll go from 27 to 135 with this whole kind of like swirly bouquet. I have confirmed that we're going to wait until the series is complete, and then all 5 of them you guys are going to review.
What am I going to do with all 5 lenses? Oh my God. That's crazy. So for those that don't know, Petzval lenses typically give you it's a very old style formula. You typically only get sharpness in the center of the frame. Like you got to really compose your images in a very interesting way. Even the centers can still be a little bit, but then you get this very swirly effect, strong, like extreme cat's eye bokeh. And it really does make it look like you're looking down a ton of light. And you can use these in a very beautiful way, like great for portraits, but also really powerful for cinema. And it looks like these Petzval lenses that they're making are not only intended for mirrorless mount, which is great, but also for cinematic use. And I mean,
Poor Things.
Poor Things. Yeah, Poor Things was a great example of using Petzval in the forest near the end. And it does give a very beautiful look and interesting color, a soft tonality. Yeah, they're cool.
What do you think, Jordan?
I'm not thrilled about reviewing a full set of 5 optically weird lenses, which means there's likely huge differences in all of them. But it is a very cool, creative look. And yes, I do think largely Poor Things is responsible for this. So many people, when that movie came out, were like, what lens is that? And I know there were a whole bunch of YouTube videos with a bunch of views about that. So yes, I think there's a renewed interest in it, and we're probably going to see a whole bunch of these in like student films and stuff moving forward as everybody tries to emulate Yorgo's masterpiece.
Just if you do that, don't overdo it. Gentle touch.
Couple tracking shots in the woods.
I mean, you can stop the lens down heavily, and then that does, to some degree, tone down the Petzval effect and give you a little bit more range and stuff. But of course, people love shooting these pretty wide open, and they're classy lenses. Like the original Lomo Petzval looked like a. Well, it looked like a lens from the 1800s. Like it was all brass, and focusing knob was below on a geared, spindle, and it was interesting. Like certainly beautiful. These actually look really classy. It looks like they've really kind of upped the design game on them. So I'm kind of a little excited to play with them. Sure, they are a one-trick pony, but hopefully you'll like that pony and you'll ride it all day long.
I personally, I would keep one of these around and use it sparingly, but very very pointedly. Like I know exactly what I want. I know I can get it. So yeah, I wouldn't be on my camera very often, but when I did use it, it would be good. All right, we're going to move into a block here about let's talk about some Chinese small camera brands. I guess that's the best way I can kind of group these together. Okay. Let's first start with a new 360-degree drone company that was incubated and spun out of Insta360 called Antigravity. I've been aware of Antigravity now for a couple of months. I knew that they were planning their launch. They are a drone company that wants to change how people think of drones, and it's a 360-degree drone. So all we know now, the public information, is that there is a drone brand called Antigravity, and that is a 360-degree drone. So, I want to ask you guys, we know what DJI does in the drone space. What would this have to do to be compelling besides that?
Be available in the United States of America.
Okay, fair, true, yes, we'll get to that. But, but like, as far as capturing content goes, what would you want out of a 360-degree drone that could tell you that, all right, fine, I'm going to no longer use a conventional drone? What could it possibly offer?
I mean, the biggest thing would just be incredibly intelligent subject detection and automatic reframing that works extremely well. Like send the drone up, maybe you pilot the drone, or maybe it's one of those auto flying models, and it effectively keeps your subject, framed in a good looking way, changing camera angles dynamically in a way that doesn't look super weird. But the big limitation here is, after I started using 360 cameras a lot, I realized the most effective way to use them is to get them close to your subject, because you're generally cropping away a massive portion of the frame to get some sort of, usable, non-distracting field of view. So generally I find like within 2 meters of your subject or 2 feet is kind of ideal. And with the drone, that's going to be very annoying and very dangerous. So I'm curious about this. If they do use like the same kind of super small 8K sensors that we're already seeing, it's also going to only be usable to give you like detailed results in extremely good light. And I think they're going to have to, because this thing has to be light. So I'm curious. It might be a great secondary angle thing, but so is a currently existing drone. So you really got to need to take advantage of that. Because honestly, how often in a drone do I care about the top 360 degrees? I'm not zooming in on the sky all that often.
It sounds very interesting. Like, you're absolutely right. The image quality has always been one of the things we've complained about with 360-degree cameras, the lack of resolution to really punch in and stuff like that. And it's tough because DJI, I think, has a very strong advantage with larger sensors. They're really pushing larger sensors, brighter lenses, and gimbal movement that is so sophisticated that you still get very dynamic movement and the ability to track subjects at high speed. The idea for the 360 that would appeal to me is you could do some very extreme movements after the fact in post, right? Some really interesting stuff. But as you say, Jordan, you'd have to get that camera really close to subjects. Or do you think people have a desire to be able to actually control the narrative from a drone as it travels through a space? I don't know.
Yeah. I just don't know if it separates it that much from a currently available drone. I mean, it's nice to just be able to fly it and not have to, and think about reframing later or let the AI take care of it. I just worry if people do that and their subject is a comfortable distance from the drone, they're going to be looking at sub 720p video, even if this thing's shooting 8K.
Do you think that aesthetic is kind of come and gone? This whole idea of people being able to use their mouse or use their VR headsets to scan however they want to look around the scene.
Oh, that's definitely not a thing.
It's not a thing anymore, right? People are like, no, I kind of want.
It became one.
I want a creative eye to dictate and show me what I want to see. I could see a lot of promo videos on this thing where it's like, look, you can imagine you're a bird flying in the sky and you can look at whatever you want to look at. People are like, yeah, that's kind of neat. And after a while, they'll be like, okay, well, I'm done with that. I want you to give me a narrative. I don't want to just like wander around zoning around things. So
2 things. One, I don't know if that's going to show up on the final recording, and if it does, apologies. Chris hiccuped there for a second, so we lost like 2 seconds of his sentence.
Did I? Interesting.
Earlier on, yeah, but you're fine. We got you. I just want to explain that was, that was intentional in quotes. It wasn't done.
I didn't bleep you.
Second thing, what if the idea behind this drone isn't necessarily what you hit the record button with? So back when I was a kid, it was, and I'm sure this is still a thing, it was really common to see guys go out there and they'd fly their model airplanes around, and they just enjoy flying their model airplane around. You don't need to put a camera on it. So what if this is more just, you just want to go fly? And like, let's say you're wearing a headset, because, right now those FPV drones, that's a thing. So I'm imagining this has an FPV headset, and in that FPV headset, you have full visibility without a gimbal, because it doesn't need like a moving gimbal, because it's 360. So then you're just flying. Is that enough of a draw?
I think it's disorienting, right? If you're flying in an FPV style, you generally want to see what you're flying towards, is my understanding, even though there's multiple cameras.
Apache pilots will love this thing, Jordan. Okay. They're going to love it. Any age 64 pilots out there, you're going to love this. No vomiting for you.
Just something to think about.
I'm curious how they'll make it, if they'll have an exciting way to make it practical. I mean, the word immersive shows up about, I would say, 87 times in this.
Sort of why I'm more leaning towards that headset thing, because like, how else do you immerse other than to put one of those on?
I don't know. Yeah. Again, people are going to fly these through caves, and they're going to fly them through, tight spaces like that, and go through a mall, and you can just kind of like look at whatever store you want to look at.
It's a sub 250 drone. Wow. So that's great.
It'll be novelty level. They will dunk you underwater until you give their product a good review.
Wow. Nice. Very literal. All right. The next one actually ties right into this, as Insta360 kind of shimmies on over into DJI space. DJI has fully stepped over into Insta360s. It announced its first 360-degree camera that shoots 8K P50 video, and it claims to be the sharpest 360-degree camera on the market. It appears to also be using a sensor that is larger than the one that Insta360 uses. And the camera itself is a different form factor. It's more of a squarish rectangle than a elongated rectangle.
Yeah.
And it weighs 183 grams. And so here we go. These two companies out of China are really basically getting ready to square off against each other.
We saw this all the way back at NAB, which seems like surprising them to demonstrate this to us. It's not a dramatic. It does really remind me of when DJI got into the action cam business, and they're like, "Look, our sensors are a tiny bit bigger. There's some moderate improvements there, but it's not a quantum like they're not rethinking the 360 market in a dramatic way. This really looks like direct competition with Insta360. I'm intrigued by a sharper lens towards the edges due to that square sensor that they're using there, because there is definitely with the 360s there's sweet spots within that 360 degree field of view and areas where it's not quite as sharp. So I'm interested to see that, the ability to do high frame rate 8K, because I think basically if you're using a 360 camera, you should always be recording 8K because you're going to be cropping the hell out of it anyways.
And you want fast frames per second, right? I mean, everybody loves 60, so 50 gets us a little close.
This looks very compelling, but again, not a revolution. Just like if Insta360 released a new Pro Plus version with these same specs, I would be like, oh yeah, that's a really solid 360 camera. But nothing coming from it where I'm like, oh, DJI has really changed the market. Insta360 could release something with a sharper lens and a bigger sensor as well in the future.
Yeah, and DJI is notably not doing the whole lens replacement thing that Insta360 is doing in the latest
don't
X5.
Damage them.
Yeah, so it's been that's a nice feature that took them 5 generations to get. So well, I don't know how long DJI is going to stick in this market. We'll see. You mentioned earlier, Chris, the ability to purchase DJI drones. Well, it's not just drones. DJI's entire new product line is exceptionally difficult to get in the United States. I did some research on it, and they've mentioned publicly a couple of times that the U.S. Border Patrol or Customs, not Border Patrol, Customs, is just like not letting them ship stuff here now. They're essentially saying, no, you can't import, which they don't understand. It's not illegal for them to be here, but they're not sure what to do about it. Well, apparently one thing they could do about it is ship their products not branded DJI. They won't confirm or deny if they're doing this, but there's a new brand of drones on Amazon called Sky Rover, and this drone is identical to a DJI drone. And so it even has, like, if you look inside the code, there's some people who looked inside how it's communicating, and it's essentially the exact same thing as DJI, except every time the word DJI is mentioned,
to the DJI thing, and then they're rewrapping it with a different app. It's pretty sneaky.
Yeah, and again, there's nothing illegal about this, but it's just interesting that there's only 2 possible outcomes. This is a DJI chosen to do thing. They're like, sure, just we'd like to sell our drones to a market that likes to buy drones, or this used to happen in China a lot, less so these days. Someone just essentially stole the entire design for this thing and just started manufacturing it and selling it. Now, I don't think that would happen these days.
I think DJI would be on that real quick.
Fast.
Yeah. So it sounds like just a way to get through the thing. I like the yellow color. It's pretty.
It's easier to spot.
It's like a bumblebee in the sky. I like it. Makes me happy.
But how long is this tenable? Like, is it just going to be they'll release it under different brand names constantly as they keep shutting down? Like, you know what? No more of these drones. They're reporting to the exact same. They're sending all the information to the same place, shutting that down. And then all of a sudden there's like a Flightbird drone that's exactly the same as DJI models. Like, how long does this process continue? Or is it indefinitely?
Well, so one of the laws passed last year required that DJI go through a government audit. The government was supposed to audit the company, and they were like, please do it. We're hiding nothing. Please audit us. That's what DJI says they're doing. They've been begging the U.S. government to do this now, starting all the way back earlier this year. They're like, hey, it's been 3 months. Are you guys going to start this? Hey, it's been 6 months. Are you guys going to start this? Recently, Now they're afraid that the U.S. government's planning to just rush this through, which is the opposite of what they wanted. There's an assessment that might take like only 30 days, and DJI is like, well, yeah, you're going to hit your deadline, but you're not going to do a good job, is now the argument. So I think DJI thinks they're going to get banned no matter what they do. They're just going to come up with a reason to ban DJI, and that would stink for them. But at least, hey, they've got this ace in the hole. They could always sell it under a brand that's not DJI, I guess. All right. This is a quick one. Leica is working on a 135 millimeter prime lens for L.
Woo! We did it, guys. That podcast we did, 3 weeks ago has changed the world. Yeah, we've already got an 80.5 and now a 135 lens.
They designed this lens within 3 weeks. They're like, we must make this happen because of the podcast. So you're welcome. Not that it's been in design for like 2 or 3 years. Forget that. No.
I do think it makes an interesting case in this article that the SL series of lens, their primes, is actually pretty fleshed out at this point.
Right.
Which I haven't really looked at them extensively because they do tend to be like quite expensive for the specs that they have on them. But, we've shot with quite a few of these while we're traveling or reviewing new SL bodies, and they're excellent lenses.
Sure.
So, like the 75, the 90, and now a 135, that's stuff that is not available in the native EMA. I mean, Sigma makes a 90mm 2.8, but the faster 90mm is still compelling. So these are really unique formulas, which I think is cool to see.
Yeah, it's funny. The SL line is a mixture of, oh, cool, unique lens, and that's a Sigma lens.
Yeah.
So this is one of those ones where it would be, oh, that's actually a cool lens.
Yeah,
or they take the Boat Anchor 135 SLR lens and slap a Leica name on it, which is not typically how Leica operates. They've been going with the more svelte DG designs. So
have they announced an aperture? Is this going to be an f2?
Only thing that they've said was, it was in an interview. Someone asked, in the future, might we see a 135 SL APO L Merit? I mean, the Vario L Merit SL 7200 f2.8 is sensational, but it's a bit bulky and not exactly lightweight. Wouldn't an apochromatic 135 telephoto be a great addition to the SL lens catalog? To which Peter Karb, who's Leica's head of optics, says we're already working on it. So that's what we got. So no, we did not hear an aperture, but the fact that they're doing
the lens designers off the chain between like Kazuto just like pre-announcing non-existent lenses and this. It's just like, let them just step up to the mic and say whatever's on their mind. And we're getting hot scoops all the time. I love this.
They do tend to be a little big. We'll see. And of course, the competition will be the Sigma 135 1.8, which is already out, which is a stunningly good lens.
But that's an old DSLR design. Like, that's one of the only ones Sigma haven't remade for their mirrorless mount, and that's a lens that really needs it. So, I think this could be a compelling option for a lot of L mount shooters.
Mm-hmm. Right on. Moving right along.
Oh no.
We learned this week that Fujifilm was going to increase its prices for the first time based on the initial tariffs. That would make Fujifilm the last camera company, the last holdout to not increase across its whole product line prices
until today.
Until it was actually kicked in on August 1st.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty standard increase across the board, basically between 8 and 9% for most products, although there were some exceptions. There was the X100 got I think it was 12.5% more expensive, but that was like one of the biggest ones. And then there was one battery charger probably out of China, which jumped substantially because out of China. So, but I have to say it stinks that all this happens, but I really do want to give Fujifilm some credit here for essentially waiting as long as they could, doing as much as they could to not increase pricing. And they finally were forced to. Now, this doesn't take into consideration the next story on this list, which is that the U.S. and Japan struck a, quote, massive trade deal in which Japan was only saddled with 15% tariffs, which is 5% higher than they were previously. So that increase from Fujifilm does not take this into consideration. The timing was just coincidental. Thoughts? Because things are going to get even more expensive here in the United States, which means it's very likely to get more expensive for you in Canada too.
Which is annoying.
But at least maybe there'll be some stability for a moment.
Right?
But
we'll see.
No,
we'll see. Are we going to see another 5% increase across the board from all the Japanese companies?
They're probably, most of them won't eat it. I mean, there's a later story that touches on this.
Yeah, but, we'll get to that in a second. Yeah.
Yeah, companies have not been willing to just be like, you know what, our margins are so colossal, especially in the photo business, that we're going to just suck it up and take this 5%.
That was sarcasm, folks. The margins are terrible in this industry.
Yeah. People like you and me and Jaron.
Yeah. So yes, Canon says that they are going to unfortunately adjust to adapt to the tariffs and try to cut costs across the board, which means what? Downsizing, less quality control, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know what Canon saying cut costs means. That
if we let Rudy go again, so help me God.
Seriously, it just strikes me as like that's not what you want to hear is cost cutting while also increasing prices. That is a poor combination. I will say that Canon USA gave us a quote after this, and they didn't give us any exact numbers on how much prices are going to increase. They haven't determined it yet. It looks as though on August 1st, prices just didn't there's no flipped switch or anything. So keep an eye on this space for the next couple of months as current inventory again goes away and they need to import more, and that will result in higher prices. But on that note, we'll end this whole news section and this terrible tariff section with a good story. Sigma will not increase its pricing due to that additional 5% increase on tariffs. They're going to eat it. Here's the quote from our friend Mark, who is the leader of Sigma Americas. As you may be aware, the U.S. government has announced a new 15% tariff on goods imported from Japan, which went into effect recently. While this presents additional cost pressures across the industry, we want to assure you that Sigma will not be implementing any further price increases at this time. In June, we proactively adjusted our pricing to account for the initial 10% tariff. After careful evaluation, we have decided to absorb the additional 5% increase internally rather than pass it along to our customers and partners. I don't think anyone else can do this in this industry. Maybe Leica is the only other one that could. Anyone who essentially doesn't have shareholders that are going to ask them why their profit margins are slightly decreasing, basically. And also, no one else is vertically integrated in their factory. I actually wrote an article about this, why no one else can probably do what Sigma's doing. And there's multiple factors at play. But those are the two big ones, is the single factory in Japan where they're vertically integrated and the fact that they don't have any shareholders to report to.
And we keep going back to the crazy value of the Sigma, their modern lenses. So now that there's potentially an additional 5% advantage to getting Sigmas, again, they're just going to keep looking like better and better bang for the buck. You really do get a lot for what you pay with the Sigma line right now. And it's cool that they're able to offer this. And we're big fans of that company. So this is, again, something not expected in the photo industry, but if anyone could do it, like you said, Jaron, it'd be them.
Exactly. Any final thoughts, Chris?
No.
Okay. Well, we did it. It only took us 42 minutes, but we got through the giant block of news. Lord. There was a bunch of stuff that we skipped over. These were just the biggest stories of the last 2.5 weeks. Let's move on to our main story to celebrate our 100th podcast episode. Your best and worst experiences since you started working here. Tell me what those are. I've got mine listed down here, but I actually don't know what you guys are going to say. Jordan, you told me, but I immediately forgot. So this will be all the news.
It was that memorable.
That's one of your best qualities, Jaron, is the ability to be surprised by me multiple times.
So how do you want to do this? You want to do everyone does their best, and then everyone does their worst, or do you want to do them back and forth?
I think that's the way. Yeah, let's. We just got out of tariffs. Let's ride a high for a little while. Before we go back down.
Okay, go for it, Jordan. Kick us off.
I get to start. Cool. Yes. And looking at it, my big standouts do tend to be when we get the opportunity to travel to cool places. That is probably the biggest perk of this job that we've got here. But generally, as you both know, I bemoan the fact that I abandon my loved ones for long stretches of time so I can go review exciting new products. But not this year, not when we went to Aizu, and my wife was able to join us for that trip. And not only was that, we've been to Japan a few times, but to see a whole new part of the country in a completely different weather, to be able to be out there in the snow in Japan, temples covered in snow, it was absolutely beautiful. And not only that trip we got maybe our biggest like 2 video bump ever when that Sigma BF came out and really surprised everyone. So we were productive, made a ton of traffic, really exciting news, and I got to do it all with my favorite human. So that was an amazing trip for me. That is definitely my number one. Are we going to rotate, or am I just going to do all 3 of mine?
Do your good ones.
All right. The other one is a big rebound for me when the Kodak Super 8 camera was announced. I said, that's cool. How much does that cost? And then they told me over $5,000. And I said, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But the important thing to note is I didn't have to pay $5,000. I just got this thing delivered to me to review. They threw in a few free rolls of film for me as well to test it. And you know what? I had a pretty good time shooting with that. Chris will attest when I was out with Alex and we were bombing around, I was like, just having a good time. And then I got the footage back and I was like, there's still something here, gang. This is really beautiful. And shot a little bit of home video on the beach and showed it to my mom and she cried. So there is still like a real...
Right. Jordan's favorite thing is he made his mom cry.
We've been watching Jaron like go down this analog trek, which I'm sure some of his favorite moments are going to be directly related to him discovering analog photography. And this was kind of the one opportunity that I had for it. And it did kind of pay, like afterwards, I was like, should we do an episode on 16? And Chris is like, shut up, you idiot. No, it was a huge pain to finish that episode. Our film got, delayed multiple times. And it came back. It didn't look great.
Super expensive. Yeah.
So expensive. So
can you put a price on joy?
Yeah.
I had a good time. And, I still click back and watch those just the raw scans from those every once in a while, because they do really have something, I got to say. And then the last one of like our, my favorite memories is just when everything goes well. And, I'd love to say that happens on every single shoot.
Never?
But there's usually... something goes wrong, something's annoying. There's something that I'm not thrilled about in the episode or something. But the one thing that I kept jumping back to is the Z5 II episode that we shot last year. Basically, everything went exactly how I was hoping for. There's a huge variety to the episode, beautiful locations, good shooting scenarios, and just like a fun, playful vibe. And it's really when we do those road trip episodes, it's what I'm striving for. So it's really nice to now be able to look at, here's a gold standard episode. If we can hit these same highs, I'm going to be very happy with it.
Which we haven't
it's
since,
nice.
But that's besides the point.
We haven't done that many trips since. I mean, especially not in that like new camera launch kind of feel. So there's going to be opportunities in the next little while for us to put out something equally compelling, and hopefully we're able to do it. But that's an episode I just look back at. When I hit publish, I'm just like, I don't care what they say about the rough edit on this. This is a good episode. So everybody can just shut up and be like, good job, Chris and Jordan. And they did, and it was great.
Well,
Chris,
I think
your turn.
Yeah, I think a lot of my favorite times will be travel related, but for different, maybe for a similar reason, but kind of different reason, is that, the joy I get from doing the job is being able to do things creatively and see different sites and like have different opportunities. In this job, I have to be a photographer that does everything. Right? Like, I'm not a landscape photographer. I'm not a portrait photographer. I'm not a sports photographer. I'm not a wildlife photographer. I have to do everything. And so what I really appreciate about the travel that we do is it gives me, as a photographer, like that opportunity to shoot really interesting things. And I'm super grateful for that, because that's not an opportunity that a lot of people get. So when I think about the some of my favorite memories, it's usually with creative potential in mind. So like Chile was great. Chile I loved. This is where we went and we saw the LSST. That was an amazing experience. And photographically, it was fun to shoot some night photography and stuff, but it wasn't as big a creative outlet for me in a specific way. Where I would really say like things shined was a lot of the trips. Yellowstone is one that comes to mind, being able to shoot the Z8 in Yellowstone. Not only because it's a beautiful park and a beautiful location, but I get to shoot a wildlife scenario in a place that has beautiful wildlife, right? So that kind of stuff does it.
There were a lot of animals on that trip.
Oh yeah, we had eagles. We had all these beautiful birds, bluebirds and bison.
That bluebird
and
picture's very good.
Oh, thank you.
That bird.
Hawks, like also, and beautiful landscapes and stuff. So it's those opportunities. Like another one, I'm not a football fan at all, but getting to shoot on the sidelines of an actual NFL game, that was crazy. That was an amazing experience, right? For me, who's not an experienced sports photographer, to still be able to have that opportunity, yeah, that's awesome, right? And shooting appropriate gear for that was awesome. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but shooting an M11, Leica M11 in New York City at night, wandering around, that's cool, right? That's that sort of quintessential experience. So I'm very fortunate that I've gotten to use gear made for certain scenarios in ideal scenarios. And so that brings me a lot of joy to be able to do that. I think the other things that I really find fulfilling in the show is when we do our documentaries. So I have to put out Moab was amazing too, I got to say. Moab with the Nikon Z5 II was amazing. That was a great experience. Got to do a lot of fun stuff there. But when we make our docs, when we do things like the YouTube program that we did, or the Chile program, or things like the Idaho road trip, I love that stuff. So I don't know, you guys might have different feelings about it, but
Stay tuned.
I love those experiences because that is where we're not necessarily doing reviews. We're really just visiting new places, sharing that with our crowd and our viewers. And I find that very fulfilling and being able to just have fun, see interesting things. So yeah, Idaho was super fun for me. I really enjoyed it. Chile was amazing to do that as well. The YouTube program. These are experiences that I'll remember forever. So I really like that stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
For me, going to Japan for the X106 launch, after that has always been my favorite place on earth, my entire life. And it had been 20 years since I'd been to Japan to that point. So it had been a long time, and it was very different. And I just remember having an X106 too, which changed things for me. That camera awakened the love for photography in me again. And I'm wearing a shirt right now, an X106 shirt. So that was not planned. I just pulled this out of the closet today. I remember that really distinctly, and I had a really good experience while I was there, seeing all the stuff, trying the different foods again, and remembering why I love that place so much. And then the photography there is, to me, nearly unbeatable. There's something to photograph constantly, and I was just really, really loving it that whole time. And that was great. That's also been the start of me being able to go back to Japan multiple times a year, multiple times. So I'm on cloud nine about that.
Yeah.
The other thing that's more directly related to producing content for us has been whenever we go anywhere, and it's usually in a different time zone, waking up at 3 a.m. and then going on a walk with Chris I
love those too.
Really, really fun for me. We've done it twice in Japan now, where it's just wide awake, 3:45. Let's go for a walk. And it's just where are we going? I don't know. Let's just go that way. And we just wander for 2.5 hours taking pictures. We did it in Prague too. We got some really really lovely photos there. The 2 times we've done it in Japan, I've walked out of there with like, wow, these are really cool images that I would not have done. I don't like doing that kind of thing by myself. Chris would have just wandered out there by himself. I actually the first time he did it, I had to stop him from running out the door. He was going to leave without me. Now he knows that I want to go. So those have always been great.
I was like, are you sure you want to go? Like, I'm going to, it's 4 a.m. I'm going to wander around for 3 hours. Yeah, no, I love that. Yeah. Those are really nice times. And it's like, that's one of the best times to see a new city and explore it. So yeah, Prague was super fun for that too.
I sleep when that's going on.
Yeah. As most jealous. As reasonable people should, but I'm not going to sleep. So I might as well go take pictures. Yeah.
The last thing on my list is the last day we were in Santiago, and we kind of wandered around Santiago, and we walked up that mountainy, hilly part.
Oh, yeah. Right in the middle of Santiago, the little fortress.
And like we got to that view.
That was pretty stellar.
My heart broke. It was one of the most incredible views I've ever seen, and I could not get enough of it. And I was just sitting there staring at it. I was like, this. I took a selfie. I never take selfies. I took a selfie there
like, I want to remember
I could send
this
it to my mother and be like, look at what I'm looking at. This is insane.
I did that. I sent it to my mom too. That exact same thing.
It's so
I did not
pretty.
send it to my mom.
Like the way that the city goes up to like the edge of the mountains, and then the mountains they just like come up behind the city. Then in a way I've never seen before.
It's
truly spectacular.
Stunning. Yeah.
It makes Chile to me one of the like you must visit locations before you die. Like you have to see this. It's heart-wrenchingly beautiful. So
and you need to eat the ceviche in that one restaurant.
Yes, and hopefully you get a
repeatedly.
Hopefully you get a clear sunny day.
Thing. Oh my god.
Yeah, that was really good.
Now let's go on a downer. Let's bring this roller coaster down.
What's the worst experiences we've had?
I think we should reverse it now. I think we should go Jaron, Chris, Jordan.
Okay.
That way.
So as much as I loved Chile, boy, getting there was the absolute worst. That flight from LA to Santiago, I swear, I'm not exaggerating. You guys can back me up here. It was like sitting on those old like plastic
they were terrible chairs
from elementary school. They were remarkably uncomfortable. It actually takes effort for me to make a chair that uncomfortable. They didn't really recline at all, which because we're like the LATAM Airlines really has only pristine first class and go ahead and sit back there on that bus seat. And it's a 12-hour flight. It's much farther away than it looks. It was terrible. And that day, too, was brutal because not only did we have to go to Santiago, we had to get on another plane and go to another location like that same day. That whole flight situation just took forever. It was I got put in miserable.
A very small room for quite a while.
You did?
Well.
We were worried about you. Yeah, you got picked out and got stuck in a customs and they went through all your stuff. Wait, what did they actually do in there?
They're looking at everything, and Chris just keeps pinging me like, "Oh, what are they doing to you now, Jordan?" And it's just like, shut up.
He was sending you. He was sending you very inappropriate texts
by stuff.
The entire time. Yeah.
Going through his stuff means orifices. Yeah, orifices.
Yeah. I stopped the LOL responses very shortly and was like...
It was rough because, like, we're walking through. They just basically have an open area where you walk through, and they just pick you. You could say random, but I think they're just like, that guy looks like a drug dealer. That guy looks like someone I want to probe. And they just pull, and I'm walking through. I even said to the guy, like, oh, do you want me to stop? Because they stopped both of you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, no, go ahead. So like, okay.
Yeah, right. For me, they went through my bag, and this guy, the guy who was doing it for me, spoke no English, and so he went through it, and he was just looking at like, yeah, they're old cameras. He's like, okay, you can go.
Yeah,
but whatever they did to Jordan, they probulated you for like.
They got the English speaking person to really go through it with me. So
dude,
that was terrifying.
It was rough, actually. And then the flight back was brutal. Like I got screwed on bag charges and stuff. They charged like $300 for like a bag and stuff.
Really weird because it's like, didn't they give you your money back? Didn't they weren't supposed to charge you. They just took your money?
Yeah, no, it was terrible. It was bad. So anyways, like, the LATAM flight down was great. Back up was really bad. So I don't know.
Otherwise, visit Chile. Great. No. That was very uncomfortable.
It was uncomfortable, but
for what it's worth, also, I feel like it was the same exact plane that we took back up.
Yeah, it was super
my chair was equally uncomfortable, and it was like the same chair.
I had not worked a groove into it yet, but it was definitely the same seat.
Very uncomfortable.
There was no sleeping for me, really. It was just kind of in and out of a haze. It was
Visit Chile. You'll love it.
Get down there. As long as you can get down there and survive that.
Take a motorcycle. It'll be less uncomfortable. Yeah.
That is for me. That I'll save my other one for Jordan's because we'll coalesce on that. What are you doing, Chris?
What are the worst things for me? Having to admit that 35mm f1.2s are actually really nice to use. That was pretty hard. I had difficulty with that.
This was the Nikon one?
And the Sigma. They're both great lenses. I have to say. Was it Sigma?
No, it was Viltrox.
Oh, Viltrox. Great lenses. Enjoyed them. I don't know. What else is terrible? I don't know. There's not a lot.
I've noticed that when we're actually out doing stuff, you're typically in a pretty grand mood. Like, it's the planning phases where you get in your own head and you're like worried. But once we're out there, you're just like a cheerful guy. So.
Well, because I want to just be creative, take photos. No, I mean, nothing majorly bad has happened in that regard. So again, like the Chile experience was tough. Coming back home was rough. That was annoying, but it could have been worse. Could have been Jordan. So I can't complain, right? Like, I don't know. Like
that should be a T-shirt you should wear every day.
Yeah.
It could be worse. I could have been Jordan.
I was about to complain.
Well, what about the flight to Norway?
Yeah,
I heard that was bad.
Yeah, it was.
I had a great time, man. It was awesome.
That was rough again. But it's hard to complain about like bad connections and stuff because we're still getting to travel and do these kind of crazy things, right? Like for sure. So I'm trying to think of like negative things that have happened. Everything that drives me crazy is logistical. So, I don't want to complain about that. It's regular work stuff, but like meeting deadlines or like, is this camera going to come? Will it show up? And then no, it didn't show up. So we have to change our schedules. Like there's a lot of that, which is quite stressful. But no, otherwise, and I'm trying to keep it to our time at PetaPixel, which for me has been far more rewarding and enjoyable than my time before at DP Review. So, when I think about like negative thing, and I haven't been hurt in a while, stepping on the metal rebar sucked. So I guess that could be during the PetaPixel time. That wasn't fun.
No, that was DPR times.
See? So again, what's there to complain about?
Amazing.
Yeah.
If you've got nothing, that's fantastic.
If you're trailing off, I'm going to punch the buzzer right now.
Yeah.
Idaho. Oh my God.
Idaho was amazing.
That was terrible. I'm with Jordan.
Oh.
That sucked.
So
I almost killed us, actually. Like, that's not even...
Oh, that's true, yeah. We were spectators to...
Yeah, I almost killed Bonacore, yeah.
But that wasn't Idaho's fault.
No, well, I mean,
those roads
led to that point.
Were pretty slippery on the gravel there. So, but no, I'm going to go user error on that one, unfortunately, Jared.
Well, you ended up with Mel Gibson face, so I think that the day ended up positively. Yeah,
you look like Mel Gibson, totally.
I mean, the big thing in Idaho, like the shoot itself, it was rough because it was a whole bunch of different things that we needed to both shoot and include in the video, which is very difficult when you're structuring a documentary. Is like everything has to be in it. And if something pops and is super interesting, well, you still have to make time for all the other stuff that had to be in the video. So as like the, shooter and editor of that project, that's maddening for me, is just like, look, everything has to be in it, even if we didn't get, footage that's really going to push the narrative forward on it. But the biggest thing is that trip, I was editing currently being released episodes, and we were shooting the smartphone shootout, which is one of the most demanding videos. While we're doing multiple individual shoots every day, and at night I'm trying to cut stuff and offload footage because we had 3 cameras running simultaneously on that, and organize it. And the shoot while we were there, I barely slept at all. I was averaging 4 hours of sleep a night or whatever.
Welcome to my world.
But then when I got back, we had not planned for how much time this was going to take. We were back to our normal shooting schedule. So it was I basically pushed it aside until Idaho was due, and then had one of the worst work weeks of my life trying to put it all together. Idaho is, yes, the dark point in my creative life. And lovely state, some incredible people we met, some cool experiences.
The best badge you own on the lanyard?
The best badge is the press for the Sheep Festival. By far, my son has taken that from me. I would probably like to be buried with it. But no, that was my professional low point, so it has to stand out as the worst thing.
Absolutely. For what it's worth, it was not my idea. Idaho wasn't my idea.
I'm so glad, because Jaron, you were waffling about even coming, and if you weren't there, I can't even imagine.
Well, thank you for making me feel like I was useful for something. But when
I needed someone to just be like, but think of the Jordan while we were shooting that trip.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. For sure. Yeah. It was a lot of work.
But it's behind us now, so I can look at it fondly. Apparently, you cannot, Jordan. Time does not make that.
I can't even rewatch that episode. And Chris informs me, he's like, I watch it all the time. It turned out really well. I'm like, I can't.
It did. It turned out really good.
Episode. I loved it. I mean, you were pressured for sure.
First pass was 55 minutes on that video.
The project was a little overambitious, and that wasn't our fault. But I feel like what we pulled out of it was really cool. And it was a neat road trip and an exciting experience. But yes, that was a lot of pressure and stress. And I feel like that has now colored your experience for every other documentary that you've ever done since then, where it's just like, oh God, it is a lot of work. It is a lot of work to do these things. And we have another project coming out, which I hope you're going to be happy during. I'm skeptical. I don't know. I worry about it. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, there's a reason Jordan is here in Portland. We're doing some prep for another major project that I'm sure will haunt him for the rest of his days. But it will be beautiful when it is done.
Idaho's the only one. Like the U2 project was a lot of work, but I'm happy with how that one turned out.
Both
LSTs
a lot of work. Happy
have been a lot of work, but I'm really happy. Like we had a responsible schedule for both of those. Hopefully we'll do the same with this upcoming project.
That was overly ambitious. I want to add actually, because I didn't really have a thing that my low point, but actually you reminded me, Jordan. So doing smartphone roundups, low point, 100%. Hate it. Anything smartphone, to be honest, hate it. But super hate it. There you go.
Unfortunately, viewers like them.
Yeah,
so they keep making their way on the schedule.
And damn you, viewers, damn you all straight to hell. There we go.
You want that on a shirt as well? We can get you a full wardrobe out of this podcast. Damn you, viewers, straight to hell.
Well, that was fun. I enjoyed thinking about all those things. Even the stuff that was bad is honestly like there was always a bright side to it for me.
Yeah.
Like, even with Idaho, the final product was very good. And when it was done, Jordan, the weight lifted off your shoulders must have been euphoric.
Oh, God. I was on a high for like 5 days probably off of that.
Totally worth it.
Like straight up, like the way people talk about heroin highs. That's where I was.
But yours lasted way longer.
I'm in a good mood. It was like I am uncontrollably joyous. Yes.
So we're going to move on to what have you been up to? But I do want to say that folks will know what we've been working on, what the current project is right now. By what, October? No. Geez, next month. Everyone will know what we were working on.
Rush very quickly the edit on this project.
Yeah, you'll see. Month, so.
If Jordan survives it, we'll see.
Well, it's been 2 weeks. What have you guys been up to?
Well, Jordan and I were camping.
We went camping. I'm excited that I got my Merrill DP2, which was effectively unusable, as Chris warned me, because the battery died immediately as soon as I plugged it in and started using the camera. But while I was packing for this current trip, Wasabi double pack of replacement batteries arrived.
Nice.
They do actually seem to hold a bit of a charge. So
amazing.
Guess what? That DP2 is going to get shot, and I'm going to have a great time. That's all I wanted to say.
All right. Yeah, the camping was fun. We went to the shoe shop where we usually go every year. Pull the trailer out there. Had a good time. I've got the Gia Power Shot. There's what I have to shoot. I don't know if I'm going to bring it on our project. We'll see. Maybe. I don't know. Space is limited. But that's what we were up to. And I feel like we haven't been home very much, but that's okay. One day we will be home for 3 weeks. We'll see. I doubt it.
So you guys did that to yourselves because you decided to go do vacation-y things. I've been home all July, and it's been wonderful. Let me tell you, my own bed, so comfortable.
Tell me more.
Well, that's not going to be the case in August, September, though, because I'm back on the road again. But anyway, what have I been up to? Well, working on videos for our channel because while we're on this project, you guys have been focused on that. So I have 2 videos coming. One will be published on Friday, and the next one will be published next week, currently scheduled for Thursday. On top of that, Sarah will have some videos that will be coming out as well. So you'll get a lot of me and Sarah. She's been very busy working overseas, 2 separate locations. She was in South Africa.
Cool project. Yeah.
She went home to New York for like 6 days, and now she's currently in the Philippines.
Damn,
she'll be home. Yeah, she's in the Philippines shooting another project. And then she'll be home for a couple of weeks, and then she's going to French Polynesia for like 6 weeks. Oh. So like she's very, very busy making content right now. So I'm very happy
in tropical paradises. It doesn't sound bad at all.
She's a diving underwater photographer. But looping back to what I've been doing, I wanted to, Chris, you're probably going to be, I don't know, your reaction will likely be, you bought that? Because that's what you like to say to me. But
because at this point you have a disease. You bought that?
I have acquired my own X106. And if you look closely, this is number 840.
The limited edition.
1934 limited edition X100s. This is my child, and I love it. And then the other thing that I have here is from David Amell. He's letting me borrow his TX1, his Fujifilm TX1. So I have this, and this will be with me for a couple of weeks.
What about the G2? Did you shoot the G2?
I kind of skipped it to shoot with this first. I would bring it on the thing we're currently working on, but unfortunately, as you've said, space is limited.
That's the worst part of. That's the worst experience I've had at PetaPixel. Right there.
Is that I haven't shot with the G2 yet? Oh, I'm so sorry.
Guys,
this guy's not coming with me. I'm going to go shoot with that Sony RX1 instead, which is a little heartbreaking, but you know.
I'm thrilled that every time we, at the end of an episode, say like, and be sure to check out the PetaPixel podcast, I try to find a clip where people are reacting, and now I've got mine for a month, is Chris wildly gesticulating when you say that you haven't shot with the G2.
Yeah.
So that's great.
And it's his worst experience since working here. Good, yes. I haven't shot with it. You know, that thing he told me that he was upset that I acquired, and now that I have it, he's mad that I haven't shot it. I can't win.
No, because I suggested that you shoot it, and then you then you were like, okay, I'll do that, and then now you haven't shot it.
Well, there's
Chris is
batteries
the parent who's always disappointed in you, Jaron, no matter what.
There's nothing I can do.
Why 98%? Why didn't you get 100? Okay.
Well, luckily, we left a nice chunk of time here to get through some never read the comments. And
but we have 463. I counted, so let's get on it.
The first one is a never read the comments. This one is from Ichen. Hi, I've got a question. We've seen two big revolutions. First, we had the transition from analog to digital, and then from DSLR to mirrorless. So what's next? What is the most likely future of camera gear evolution?
Artificial intelligence.
Don't say that. I hate that idea.
I really separate that from photography. You know, if you were to say visual medium, then yeah, Chris, I'm going to have to agree with you there.
No. I don't think you can. That's what I think is I don't think we are going to be able to separate from photography because I think it's going to come into cameras. But you have to remember that AI encompasses a whole big thing, right? Technically, it encompasses deep learning and machine learning and stuff like that as well. And there's a lot of good things about AI. I know we talk a little about all the bad things where you're like just creating images. That's not what I'm saying. I don't think any camera company would ever really do that to themselves. Smartphone companies will. I don't think camera companies will. But I think we're going to see a lot of AI technology when it comes to making cameras more usable. And I use a lot of AI tech all the time because it works great. Like even things like denoising programs, things like being able to auto cull your images. I think these would be huge advantages to have in camera. And so I think that's going to improve computational techniques, that kind of stuff I think would be really effective. So I think we'll see more of that.
Do you think that'll be a line in the sand in the same way that film and digital was, where there's a real before and after? Or is this just going to be like a gradual thing where machine learning based tech kind of just takes over a lot of
I think it's going to be gradual. I think by the time you realize that you're using it all the time and it's too late to be angry, you'll already be firmly invested in it. Right?
I mean, when we were recently shooting for an upcoming episode, a baseball game, we had background noise the entire time, which usually would make me just throw up my hands and say our video is going to be demonetized. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to run like Apple's AI noise reduction routine over it. And it'll probably do a pretty good job filtering it out. So yeah, we are seeing that happening bit by bit at this point.
And how many photographers out there are appreciating? I mean, if you're a Lightroom user, I bet a lot of you out there are enjoying the denoise, and I bet a lot of you out there are enjoying things like object removal, not to do serious things, but even just basic things like, oh, there's an annoying leaf out there in the corner of my frame.
I will say,
100%.
It's gotten so much easier to make thumbnails in the past little while because of the ability for auto selection. Adobe actually did roll out an improvement to select subject in Photoshop where it'll actually send it to the cloud and back as opposed to being on device. You can do it on device if you want, but you can also ask for cloud support. And with cloud support, holy hell, is it much better. It used to be, it can still be weird. Like, why would you not obviously select that other thing that's in focus? That's attached to the human body. Not quite sure why you didn't select that. I guess I'll do it by hand. But like, it's been so much. Like, I remember having to select hair by hand Man, not interested in going back to that. Like, I'm super glad that it can do it automatically now. Especially your hair, Chris, with like it'll like go
impossible.
Places.
Oh man,
and my hair
Final
too.
Cut
My hair
masking
is the
still
worst.
like I don't know what is up with this animal.
Yeah. Hey, Grandpa, tell us about how you use the pen tool to make selections around hair.
Yeah, pen tool selections.
You know what I mean? Like, those days are gone.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a real dividing line in the next couple of years about an actual real image. Like, I do think the CTPA and everything, that's one solution, but there's going to be so much demand for like, look, is this an actual?
Yeah, Jordan, you've frozen into a kissy face, which is interesting. Did your phone die?
Is my audio still coming through?
Oh, your audio is coming through just fine. Did the phone battery die?
No, my phone is.
Yeah, you can reset that while you're working with that. It's we'll just imagine your face, and we'll move on to the next thing, which is tech support, and it's a speak pipe. I'm gonna fire it up. This is William. Let me go find it. Here's William. Here we go.
Hey, Chris, Jaron, and Jordan. This is Will in Nashville. I am contacting you all because I recently had to cover an event, and this was the first time that I was really pushing my ISO recently on a Nikon Z8. And I came across something interesting because for workflow reasons, I was editing in Photoshop, and then I went back in to edit in Capture One. And what I'm seeing is a very smooth, almost AI, almost fake texture in the skin that I haven't really noticed before from Photoshop. And when I re-edit and add grain, it has a more natural and what I'm used to feel. And the Capture One looks far superior to me, but it almost looks like an AI image, and I'm kind of shocked by it. And I don't know if that's something that Photoshop is doing. I don't know if anyone else is seeing this. I don't know if it's just me or the way that I'm editing, but I've been doing this for 20 years, so I figure it's not me. That's all I got. I can send those examples to you. I would love your thoughts. Thanks so much.
All right, Jordan, I think this is one you have to answer because you are our resident Capture One user. What's going on?
Well, but also I'm not a Lightroom user at this point. So, it kind of goes both ways. What I will definitely say is the built-in noise reduction tools on a lot of the editing software have gotten certainly more advanced, but also quite a bit more aggressive with their default settings. I mean, I certainly remember back when we were doing lens reviews that were all processed through Capture One, and the amount of noise reduction I applied to it, like on the default settings, were quite a bit more scaled back. Now the defaults are, even though we're using the same sliders, it's definitely applying quite a bit more to it. But I have always loved the look of Capture One's default settings. And yeah, I do think occasionally they can come out a little clean, which is why adding a little bit of, digital, certainly not noise, but like a little bit of a grain effect to them can certainly help smooth that out a little bit at high ISOs. Because your camera, in a lot of cases as well, is applying a little bit of noise reduction on some Canon cameras, a lot of cameras at high ISOs, to those raw files. And those things together can just lead to a somewhat fake looking image. So you kind of have to dial it back a little bit. But I can't really compare it to the latest Adobe because I haven't used Adobe in 6 years.
I don't find that issue with Lightroom, even using their denoise, which I'm an advocate for. I think it's good stuff. It's very simple and easy, and you can scale it back and control it. But I still find that skin tones usually look really natural. I don't find like I'm getting wax face or anything. Certainly not where I would be like, oh, this is totally skin smoothing and it's obvious and it looks AI. And so, no, I think Lightroom, I haven't personally had that issue with it and, shoot a lot of skin tone stuff. And no, I've not had the problem. So. Interesting.
I haven't people close enough to see it.
I haven't touched Capture One in a long time, so it's interesting. But
unfortunately, William, we may not have an answer for you. So sorry.
Yeah, send examples. We'd love to look at them and see what's going on.
Sure.
But yeah,
email me some of your examples, William. You can do that. I've given my email before, but you can reach out through the tip line on PetaPixel, and then we can start from there. Excuse me, coffee. All right, next one is an email from Miguel from Portugal. I made sure to get this in before we got to the date. In October, November, I have the opportunity to do a tour leg in Japan and South Korea as a sound engineer. I'll be in Kanagawa in Japan and Seoul in South Korea with some time off while there. Can you share a bit what it's like to walk around with my camera, particularly in Japan, as I know you've experienced there? I also know, if you also know South Korea, I would welcome some tips as well. Also, being on a kick of vintage Canon FD lenses lately, do you think I can find some in stores easily, or should I plan one of my free days to include a train trip to Tokyo for the gear pursuit and also pictures, of course? Thank you. Cheers, Miguel.
Oh, what it's going to be like is pure heaven, Miguel. I can't see you having a bad time. I mean, the nice thing too is October, November. Hopefully you're going to be there for fall colors, which is something I still have not been able to do in Japan, and it's supposed to be cosmic. So
unfortunately, last year fall colors didn't drop until December. So
yeah, but November, hopefully you'll see it. I mean, I don't know.
Hopefully.
So Japan, at least Tokyo and Osaka and, these sort of metro areas, it's a lot of walking, which is part of the joy. It's a lot of exploration. So I guess the only thing I would say is don't be packing like your heaviest stuff, right? It depends. I do like having a wide range of focal lengths in Japan. As Jaron said, there's so many things to photograph. Telephoto landscapes you definitely want to have, ultra wides in the city, all portrait lenses, all that kind of stuff. It's beautiful. So
35 is great. 50 is great.
Yeah, and faster glass if you're going to shoot nighttime, because nighttime in these big cities is beautiful. It's gorgeous. So I would say you want to have a good selection of stuff, but you really got to be careful of how much you're going to carry, because it is generally a lot of walking, a lot of hiking. The Japanese are in such good shape because they walk everywhere. And if you're visiting temples and stuff like that, again, expect a lot of hiking, stairs, distances, but that's also the joy of it. So don't overweight yourself with camera gear. As far as FD lenses, oh my God, you'll find them everywhere. You'll find them all over the place. Yeah.
So for what it's worth, if you do go to Tokyo for a day, which if you haven't been and you have the opportunity, I highly recommend it anyway.
Yeah.
But we just published a massive guide to camera stores in Tokyo, where they have all the addresses are there. Everything you need to know about what you can find there is on this article on PetaPixel.
Yeah.
It's a guide we spent 6 months working on with a guy in Japan who visited all these places and met all the owners and did detailed dives on everything. So if you want to check that out, you'll know what shops you might want to see as well to help you plan that.
But look, I've not been to Seoul, but from what I hear, it has a very similar, it's a very different culture, obviously very different cities, but it has a very similar kind of love for photography like Tokyo does. I bet you would find tons of wonderful secondhand camera stores in Korea. I'm sure it's a huge part of the industry there too, photographically.
We need to get over there.
I'd love to
Korea
go to
is
Seoul.
something that we would definitely, should be doing. Come on.
Yeah. So yes, you're gonna have a great time. You're gonna have a great time, and Kanagawa is beautiful. So
it's a big area. I'm looking at it. Actually encompasses Yokohama and Kamakura. Yokohama's really close to Tokyo. So
and you'll find you don't have to go into Tokyo proper. There's tons of secondhand stores in absolutely that whole area, the whole Kanagawa area for sure. Yeah.
Have fun, Miguel. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
The next one is a speak pipe from Max.
Ooh.
Hi, Chris, Jordan, and Jaron. My name is Max. I'm from Italy. I'm a long-time listener, and I really appreciate the great work you do on the podcast. I have a question about the new Canon VCM lenses released in the past year. There's been a lot of discussion about how these lenses rely heavily on correction profiles, either applied in camera or during post-processing. Some people feel like they're paying more for software correction than for a corrected optical formula. Personally, I don't mind this too much because I've always been applying correction profiles anyway, and if this gets me a lighter, sharper lens, then I'm happy with the trade-off. But my concern is about the extent of distortion and field of view correction, which sometimes seems to be pretty extreme in these prime lenses, for example. With the 24-megapixel sensor that I have in my Canon R3, are we effectively cropping into the image and losing some of that resolution? I understand it's not a simple crop, and there must be some interpolation algorithm or some averaging formula, but is this a concern I should be aware of, or is it negligible for most workflows? When we capture with a 24 megapixel sensor and any of the VCM lenses with no correction, the field of view might actually end up being 1 or 2 millimeter wider than what's advertised, and then the correction algorithm trims it down. So while it's not just cropping, some resolution must be sacrificed at some point. I'm happy with 24 megapixel, but I'm just curious how much of a trade-off that actually is in practice. Thank you very much for your input on this.
You know, the last time that I saw this was on Fujifilm's GFX100 RF, and I looked at it uncorrected RAW, and I could see like, oh, it's cropping in like a lot more than I thought. Now on that sensor, I don't care, but on an R3, Chris, what do you think?
Well, it's not so much that you're cropping and losing resolution, although certainly where you're losing field of view, but they're usually compensating for that. Where you are going to have some issues with resolution is going to be extreme corners, can certainly get a little bit funky, lose some detail there, but it depends on the lens. I mean, this is the world now, and you actually have it very correct here, Max, in that manufacturers are making their lenses with the idea that they'll correct a lot of the things so that they can handle other issues like sharpness and chromatic aberrations and things like that and get better resolution out of them. And for the most part, I think it's a very acceptable trade-off. And it's rare that it really hinders you, especially when we talk about these things. It's mostly extreme zooms, really bright aperture lenses, and ultra-wide formulas that often need more correction in this regard. So yeah, I mean, you will see some loss of resolution in the corners. You're not losing any megapixels or anything like that, of course, but you are losing some detail. But for the most part, I think it's a pretty good trade-off, and I don't find it really to be that big of a problem.
I think one thing that's really interesting is we have, my microphone as I talk flashes on my webcam.
Ooh, look at
it's
you.
Very distracting and flaring like crazy. Sorry about that, everyone.
You're like a robot.
Yeah, so one thing that I do find worth pointing out is a lot of the time when sensors come out, they'll say effective megapixels and megapixel count. Yeah. And they're actually putting a little extra information with the intention of applying some of these distortion corrections afterwards. So you still wind up with something similar to the effective megapixel count by the end of the day. This is how Panasonic's able to do their cropless stabilization, is actually utilizing some of those pixels that would generally just be used for distortion correction to apply digital stabilization as well. So for most lenses, you're still going to wind up with the native like what your advertised 24 megapixels is. If there's extreme distortion, though, and we've seen some ultra-wide angles like this, yes, absolutely. You are throwing away pixels, and it is up-resing them to what your advertised camera megapixel count is. So that's why we'll say there is considerable distortion correction going on with lenses that really exhibit that dramatically. Yeah. But for the most part, you're still going to get your 24 megapixels.
I have to say that we haven't seen that in a little while. I mean, again, we're going to test the VCMs. I don't know that the VCMs are going to suffer that much from it. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
That 20 mil small, we'll see. But I do think it's worth it for the trade-off. We always say the biggest unheralded advantage of mirrorless is how much better the lenses are now. This is how they're able to do it, and I do definitely think it's worth the trade-off.
Yeah, me too.
All right, the next one is an email from Seth. I was just interested in the physics behind why exposure isn't increasing beyond f1.
Oh, this goes back to an earlier question that we had asking about a super bright 0.8 lens where it wasn't actually getting brighter. We're jumping back to that topic here.
Oh, thank you. I was actually not sure where that was coming from, so I appreciate your memory. See, Jordan, you've got a great memory. Why exposure wasn't increasing beyond f1 and whether it had something to do with the micro lenses or whatever on the sensor. I always use the center spot meter anyway. I basically never shoot the lens below f1.2 because indeed the vignette is pretty bad. I actually have shot most of my pictures with that 29 millimeter lens at f6.3, which I know sounds crazy.
Yep.
That sounds crazy?
I mean, I wouldn't buy a 0.8 lens to shoot it at f6.3 personally.
Stopping down is wonderful.
I bet the results are lovely.
Is there a particular reason we don't see beyond f1? I guess
well, we answered this earlier. I mean, this was an email that Seth was wondering about. He had a lens that shot f1.0, but when he went beyond that, so he actually went brighter than that, he wasn't noticing an actual exposure.
Right.
Yeah, exposure
change.
Been so long.
He was
wondering, why am I not seeing this? Am I losing this exposure change to vignetting? What's going on? So that's what it was.
Yeah, we're just doubling back. We got more deets now.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I had completely removed this from my memory somehow, so I appreciate that you guys are better than me. All right. Well, next one is an email from Tim Arthur in New York City. This is for Jaron, for me. How do you convert your negatives to digital? I have a Nikon F and I'm shooting Tri-X. I arrange the negatives on a light box and I make a contact sheet with my Taylor Swift OMD and use a 90mm macro for the individual photos. The images are sharp and high contrast, but have a texture that will never be mistaken for digital.
Sure.
I agree. The 20 megapixel sensor isn't an issue for most prints. I heard somewhere that a 35mm neg would have an equivalent pixel density of up to 20 megapixels. Do you agree with that? I continue to love your podcast and website, and I'm a member of and attended your presentation at Build, and hope you'll come back next year. Ooh. Take care, Tim. Well, thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
I will answer these in order. How do I convert negatives to digital? I have 3 methods. One, I get essentially a digital contact sheet from Blue Moon Camera Machine, who does my developing. And they use a drum scanner, which results in pretty darn good scans.
Absolutely.
Here at home, I have a negative supply system with my Canon R5, original R5. So I am getting more resolution out of that. And I will say, I think the negatives hold up at that resolution. They look the same as when I get them scanned by Blue Moon, which is slightly lower than that. But there's more. I've also recently been working with a lab in, I believe it's Brooklyn or Chicago, Digital Silver Imaging. Hold on, let me see where they are. They are based in Belmont, Massachusetts. I sent them a positive from one of my Provia rolls, and they have a system there where they're shooting it with 150 megapixels. IQ back from phase 1. Mm-hmm. And they sent me that TIFF. And yes, 100%. There's detail there. Is it at 100? If I zoom all the way in, it's starting to get a little blurry. I would say it's making it to about 100 megapixels before I'm like, okay.
On a 35?
It looks so good. I mean, I wish I could show it to you here, but the file is like 600 megs. I'm not doing
more
it.
Megapixels doesn't hurt, right? Absolutely.
No.
If you can scan it. I mean, where a lot of this talk came in was in the early days of digital versus film, because that was a big thing, right? Commercial photographers were like, do I get this Canon 1D and is it going to stand up? Is this 4 megapixel or whatever SLR that I'm using going to be worth it? Or do I stick with my film for all my production stuff? And so there was all this conjecture about what's the actual usable resolution of 35 millimeter film. And it really, this sort of 20 megapixel concept came up, not really so much about the actual inherent resolution of the film, but more like what would the equivalent look of an enlarged photograph be? If I took 35 millimeter film and I blew it up 1620, what kind of megapixel camera would I need to get a similar kind of look to sharpness and resolution? And people were saying about 20 megapixels, which is to say that 35 millimeter film, of course, has done 1624 prints forever. And yeah, that's like where a 24 megapixel camera would kind of, tap out as well in a lot of cases. And then I know you guys are going to say, oh, I can do it at like 40 by 60. It looks amazing, blah, I don't care. So, but can you scan more detail out of a 35 mil now, especially with higher resolution scanners and cameras? Yes, absolutely you can. And you can, maybe go even a little bit bigger, but
I would say at least triple what you're saying there. The details. If your picture is sharp, even if it's not,
and it depends on the film stock and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it does.
Too. Largely, like Provia is super sharp, so you can get a ton out of it. But out of Phoenix 2, probably less so.
Yeah. Remember, too, you are capturing the grain structure, and so you can only enlarge that grain structure so much before you see the grain structure, so then you have to like the grain structure. So even if you have 100 megapixel, even if you have a 100 megapixel scan, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to want to blow it up, that big.
Don't tell me what I want.
Exactly.
I was just going to say, also, anytime it's brought up, we should mention the Taylor Swift camera is the Olympus EM10 Mark IV, which is in dire need of an update. But I don't think they want to, because they're really happy with the branding that is the Taylor Swift camera. That's my theory.
They should call it the OMTS, by the way, is what they should do.
I think it's 105 millimeter from Canon for my scanning. But I don't know. I really like... Go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. I was just going to say, I actually really liked shooting like a Nikon D850 SLR, D800 or 810 or 850 with just the actual slide adapter worked really well.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of what I have to do with the Canon for two reasons. One, Canon applies a lot of smoothing.
Yeah.
So I haven't really loved my shots taken with it. And on top of that, I don't love that my macro lens is focused by wire. So every time I turn it on, I have to refocus the damn thing, which is so frustrating. So I feel like I need to go buy a D810 and just like get an old macro lens, and that'll probably be better.
It works great. It does work great. Yeah.
So there you go. Okay, that is all the time we have for tech support and questions, and we're instead going to end the episode. I don't know why I said instead. We're going to end the episode with a duo of feel-good stories of the week. So the first feel-good story of the week is that Canon China has a really cool program that only they're doing there, where they know that people want to upgrade from their DSLRs to mirrorless cameras, but they don't necessarily want to sell their DSLRs because they have like sentimental value.
Because they don't have KH over there.
What? Okay. I'm sure there's a used market in China. Anyway, that you can send over your DSLR to Canon in China, and they will turn it into artwork for you,
like an exploded.
And it's really neat. It sits on a pedestal, and then you can enjoy the camera forever. You don't have to sell it. You can keep that thing that you have high sentimental value for. This is only available in China right now, and I'm not sure if they're planning on doing more than that outside of the region, but I thought this was really cool as a way to appreciate it. You can also find people who will do this like on Etsy or whatever, but the fact that Canon is doing it as an actual service by Canon is super cool.
Jaron, do you still have a Canon SLR that you could explode?
I have a 1DX Mark III. I have 3 5Ds.
Jeez. Oh yeah, blow one of those up.
I have a lot of DSLRs because I used to time lapse a lot. So you would go out there and you'd set up.
You got a lot of batteries that are toast now. Is what you have.
They're not plugged in. I'm sure they were dead or what. I don't know.
Silver lining Niccolls whooshes in.
Yeah, that's a bane of my existence is keeping batteries charged. Oh, just kill me.
That's
feel good story of the week.
But there's another one. This guy
the second feel good story of the week, which I think is super neat.
This is super neat.
AP reached out to let us know that they did this, and we're like, heck yeah, that's awesome. An AP photographer has captured a baseball game, Aaron Hooley, at the Crosstown Classic in Chicago between the Cubs and the White Sox, shot it entirely on Polaroid, and it is a vibe, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
It's
Chris,
nice.
Why don't you like other people's joy?
No, it's good. It's fine. It's cool. It's very retro. It's adorable.
Yeah. So there you go. There's a link to it down below on PetaPixel, and then you can see all of the pictures on AP for free. You just have to click through to that as well. So those are both neat little feel-good stories that I thought we'd share. And now we say goodbye for a week. We won't be here next week.
Oh, man, we're terrible. But...
the next episode will actually be published on the 21st. We have a special episode planned for the 21st, so we will we'll have that.
But I want to say thank you guys all for listening. 100 episodes. We're very proud of the work we're doing here, and you guys have been really fantastic. Our listeners and our viewers, whether you're listening to on your podcasting apps or on this channel, we really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Still, damn you all straight to hell for making me do smartphone comparisons, but I love that you're watching the podcast or listening to the podcast, and really appreciate the support you've given us. Let's do 100 more. We need you for that. Thank you. Thank you for your support.
100 more podcasts, no Idaho. That's my pitch.
We're going back to Idaho. It's going to be great.
Thanks again, folks. What? No, what?
We're going to have to do a cathartic return to Idaho for you guys.
Where it's actually nice.
Yeah, where we go there.
Back shooting schedule, and we just pick the places that we really want to see. And Chris fishes.
Yeah. That would be great. Yeah, and I am fishing this time. Yeah, we'll see.
If you want to see that, sign up for a PetaPixel membership. We'd really appreciate it. Your support there means a lot to us. So thank you so much. And with that, I will see you guys on Friday. And by you guys, I mean you viewers, for my episode on Friday. And again, another one on the 14th. You'll see Chris and Jordan again in a couple of weeks. They've got some videos prepared, but we're going to take a break as we work on a very special project that we'll show you soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.
Thank you.